Okay, I just put these tights on. I love these. Waisted pants, these are the new ones.
I'm a paid customer with Tally Lou. I am obsessed with their leggings.
It's Tally and Sarah, and if you don't know, we have an activewear brand called Tally Lou.
And we have Australia's favourite leggings, but not only do we have leggings,
We've got everything that you may need for an active lifestyle. So we want to give you guys an offer if you've never shopped at Tally Lou, or if you've shopped at Tally Lou
and you just want $15 off your next order,
you need to take this offer.
and it's TL Cherry, all caps, all one word. Pop that in at checkout and you will get $15 off.
So head to our website, it's www.tallyloo.com, or head to our Instagram, stalk our page, use the code, and let's get you all in some TL. Welcome to Curious Conversations. It's Tally and Sarah. Welcome to our business mini series where we sit down and talk real, raw, honest with some incredible business owners.
We're going beyond the highlight reel to talk about what it really takes to start a business from the ground up. The challenges, the wins, and the lessons that no one prepares you for.
Welcome to Curious Conversations with Tally and Sarah.
We sit down and chat with business owners, entrepreneurs, and some of the best conversation starters.
This is a podcast about real life lessons and people doing cool shit. Ladies, Mel, Wani, hi. Welcome to Curious Conversations.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
You have to intro who the ladies are.
Yes,
Come
I'm
on,
getting
no.
to that. I'm getting to that. Now, I want to give the audience a little bit. We've known you guys for quite a while. And we were talking before. We went back to you've got a restaurant, Ms Frankie. If everyone knows, Ms Frankie is in Cremorne, and you've got now one in Carlton. And we were talking before, and how we know you is one of our best friends had her 30th birthday at your little Cremorne, because it's so cute. It's like little, it's beautiful. She had a birthday there, and that's where we first met you guys. Yeah, so that was a while ago.
And then we had our birthday there.
Yes. Oh, we've had a few birthdays there. Do you know what I love? You guys do great, comforting Italian food. So it's a really great place. Who am I? I am not Italian. I just did this.
Bring it on. Channeling it.
You're getting the vibe. You guys have such comforting, beautiful food, and you all have like a great story behind the food and stuff like that. So that's why we kind of had it there, and that's how we know you. And you guys run a business, and we've started this business series, so we love to sit down with you guys.
So you have Ms Frankie's, but you also have a cafe.
Two cafes.
Two cafes. Where's the second one?
In Windsor, Alfie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We opened that a year ago. Yeah.
So you have 4 hospitality businesses.
Yes, kill me now.
I know. I don't know how. I can't wait to get into this
I promise I'm going to be positive. It's okay. You can just speak your truth.
True.
That's why
How
we're
long
here.
have you been in hospitality? How long ago did it all start?
So 13 years ago, we opened the cafe together.
Yep.
I had a day job. I was happily working 9 till 5. And Wani wanted to open up her own space because she was a barista somewhere else. She thought she could do it better.
Love that. It's true.
She's the visionary in everything we do. She dreams everything up. So, and I'm just I call myself the support act. So just make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's 13 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did you think you could do better back then, Wani?
I was working for a guy who had a really busy cafe. It was like 100 kilos of coffee a week. And
Wow.
to put that into perspective, that's like, I don't know, 100, you're better with maths, 100 times 40.
It's
400?
4,000.
4,000 coffees a week.
4,000 coffees.
That's a lot of coffees, right? So
I love the effort there, Tal.
one more zero.
Yeah.
I'm like
That's
that with
why-
maths.
that's why.
I was in dumbass maths, so that's why I was like, I'm missing a zero.
Confident stab though. I like it.
No.
Lots of coffees, and it was just a really cool operation, you know?
Yeah.
And then something in my mind went, this is a cool gig. I could do this, and I could do this for myself. And little did I know then that I had like a business brain, and that's kind of the way I thought. So yeah, I'm like, I could do this for myself. Met Mel. And she introduced me to the world of Italian coffee and, you know, the espresso. Actually, funny story, when I first met Mel, I wanted to give her, you know, you love someone, you want to give them everything. She was at work and she's like, oh, just grab me a coffee. So I went and grabbed her like a large coffee, which is like sacrilege for an Italian because it's got to be small and little. And I rocked up with this big, large coffee.
That was cute.
so Mal introduced me into the world of coffee, and then I worked at this gig and thought I could do it with myself. And then, this synergy of us coming together and facilitating, or you helped facilitate the sort of business side at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
What's the business side? Did you come from a business background, Mel? Like
No. She needed money.
the investment.
We were just talking about that before.
Yeah. So I basically, our first business loan was $80,000 and my parents guaranteed that loan. So that's kind of how we started, and we had to like fight for that. I remember Dad going to sign the papers at the bank, and his lawyer had to like witness the documents, and the lawyer tried to talk my father out of it.
Wow.
And he called me that night. I'm like, he goes, it's a big risk. What if it doesn't go right? I'm like, you tell your fucking lawyer that I'm your daughter, and if it doesn't go right, I'll like make it, like right. I'll make it right. We'll find the money. I'm like, and then I threatened my father.
True calibrated.
I said, Dad, listen, if you don't sign this paperwork, I'm going to move to Italy tomorrow, because that's all I've ever wanted to do. And then, the next day he literally almost had the lawyer up against the wall saying, it's my fucking daughter. I'll do anything for her.
It's also my money, mate.
Yeah.
But for perspective, he's was what, late 60s at the time, little house in Bairnsdale, it's their only thing really. So to put their house up at their age, you can understand.
Of course.
But we're like, we'll make it happen.
But we were like trying to get
loans.
A loan for so long, and no one was believing in us. And then that was just the breaking point for me. I'm like, just believe,
Alicia, our business partner, always tells me there's no one successful in business that hasn't had some kind of investment, and 90% of the time it's from families.
We were just talking about before you came in. So it's kind of reassuring again to hear that from you guys, because there's probably a lot of people listening that feel guilt. And maybe their parents don't believe in them or something like that. So
or even the risk of going to the bank and being like, fuck.
Absolutely.
Like,
it's
borrowing that amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like looking back, it was $80,000, and now our debts are much bigger. But that for us was like,
it's a lot.
Huge. I'm like, my God.
You got to spend money to make money. That's one of the things I learned very early on in business. And I'm only grasping that right now because I've had such a scarce mindset that I'm like, the fear when the bank account goes down, and then Tully phones me and I'm like, no, it's okay. But in my head, I'm still like,
we're
fuck.
freaking out. Talking about like risks and being scared and stuff, were there any doubts in your mind about when you asked for that money, or were you full throttle, like so passionate?
Absolutely,
and I'm
no doubt.
That's great.
Yeah,
absolutely none.
Big believer in the things we do, and it's very easy to have people come up. I mean, banks and lawyers aside, I mean, they've got all of their red tape and sort of numbers they've got to work to, but we've always believed very strongly in what we've done. Even in the hardest moments, that belief has sort of dragged us through. So, no, it's been unwavering.
That's great.
And we've had some pretty shitty moments,
Talking about shitty moments, I might be jumping the gun, but were there any really low moments within that business itself?
Not in the cafe.
No. It's a good
That's
one.
actually kept us alive through COVID, through
everything.
The shit show that was in 2022 when the interest rates went up. People weren't spending money.
But people still buy coffee.
They still buy coffee.
Yes.
But that's the year we launched Carlton, and it was just the wrong timing.
Yeah. How did you learn the business fundamentals when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to like profit margins and like expenses and what should what be?
For me, I just learnt on the job. I remember when we opened the cafe, the first BAS bill came in and I hadn't prepared for that. So I'm like, far out. It was like $12,000 or something crazy, which was good. But I didn't have that money banked up. And so I just said, I'm never letting that happen again.
Yeah.
So you kind of just learn, like I knew nothing about profit margin. I've always had a maths brain. Like I wanted to be an accountant at school. Never obviously became one. But I've always had that budgeting and maths brain.
That's good.
You know how we say we're like maths illiterate?
Yeah.
Mel is the opposite. Like didn't study, you know, a lot, but just gets numbers, you know, and that's, we're yin and yang like that. I will take a number and I'll flip it, you know, put the 1 in front of it, remove the 0. She's just a freak with
You're
numbers.
exactly like me. We have this thing. It's like if you give me a maths equation, Sarah will work it out in the most logical, simple way, and I just go like around and around and around, and then do you know what though? Every single business that we talk to, they've got 2 business owners. There is always one that is really good at something, another one that's really good, and then that's why you work so well together. It's such a common thing. So I totally get it.
When you opened or decided to open a restaurant, what made you decide that?
The lease was ending at the little cafe at 20 Cremorne, and a lease came up for to be available at 24, which is where we are in the first restaurant. And we looked at it for a site for the cafe. So we kind of went in and it was like it's 240 squares and we're currently in like 60 squares in the cafe. So I was like 240 squares, what could we do with this? And then I started to sort of dream up concepts in this space. So the space first and then sort of dream it up conceptually. And we met with some friends that were in the industry, high level kind of guys that sort of started to talk to us about what the potential was for a restaurant. We had no idea about restaurants. The only thing I knew about restaurants was I'd done a couple of gigs as a kid in hospo, you know, waitress, maitre d', whatever it was, bartender. So then this came up that we could do a restaurant, and we flew to Bologna
we did a Europe trip in 16 maybe.
Yeah, just before we opened.
Yeah.
And there was these women in Bologna rolling out pasta, sfoglinas, which is like
a pasta maker.
Yeah. And I just sat there and watched this woman roll this pasta out, and I was just like, that is something I want to bring back to the city, you know. And then there was a dish that Mel's mum does for me that I absolutely am obsessed with, which is spaghetti pomodoro. And it just simply that dish, that moment, it just kind of all rolled into let's open up an Italian restaurant, and it just rolled.
And we had no idea.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't think you need.
Your success was pretty, from an outsider's perspective, instantaneous. Would you say that?
Yeah. It was, it took off. And actually, it's funny you guys speak about Rosa, because that moment when she walked in, just randomly, she would have been in Cremorne for whatever reason, and loved the look of the space potentially and wanted to do her 30th birthday. She actually mapped us on Instagram. Like we went from like 0 to 100 on like whatever the numbers
got
were.
6,000 or 7,000 followers
overnight.
Wow. Just from her having her birthday there.
That was one of my questions, actually.
And that was, I think back then,
it was massive.
It was a thing that influencers would actually influence people.
Yeah.
And that's
now
not the case
it's
now,
a little
right?
bit, it's
Very
a bit different now.
Yeah.
You can't really emulate that. That was very organic. So our growth in Cremorne was super organic. It was a good space, designed well, purposeful, you know, good ideas, lots of passion. And then that sort of inception of the influencer.
Influencer.
Yeah. I call them influencers sometimes.
Influencers. That's okay.
And just that major organic growth. But I think we just had a good concept, good spot. Our executive chefs, or now executive chef, then head chef, said to us, I would never open a restaurant in a warehouse in Cremorne. Like it makes no sense to put a restaurant in this spot. But for us, we kind of fell on it because of where we were.
Yeah.
And we're just good at working things out.
Yeah.
You know, like as business owners, it's just, what are we good at doing? We're good at
problem solving.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we say all the time. Literally, business is problem solving.
That's all it is. And as the bosses, you literally have the worst job in the organisation, because everyone's problems come at you and you've got to solve them.
Yeah. From the cafe moving into the restaurant, what skills or like what did you bring from the cafe that worked really well within the restaurant?
Hospitality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what about like ordering and stuff? That would be different. Like ordering food. How much do you order, like compared to the cafe?
We were blessed. There is a third part to us, and that's our chef, Giorgio.
Okay.
We were just lucky that he applied for that role.
Yep.
Because he has 40 years experience. He grew up as we grew up, not to waste anything. So he orders only what he needs. The food cost in our business is ridiculous. Like I tell people our food cost and they're like, that's impossible. I'm like, no, well, I've got a Sicilian chef.
Yeah. So expensive or less?
Like it's a low percentage, but that's because he's so good at what he does. And as well, we've got his wife, the pasta maker. So we do everything on site. We don't really buy the pasta in and all the sauces are cooked on site. So yeah, he took control of that and we really didn't need to worry about it. And it really, when you look back, it could have gone completely wrong. If I had have got the wrong person, we wouldn't have lasted long in business.
Do you think luck plays a role in business and success?
Well, you said luck, and straight away I said, like in my mind, I'm like, I think there was a little bit of, and then destiny's a bit cliche too, but I feel like we put an ad on for a chef and it was just the right timing. And I think it's timing, you know, like, for example, we opened up Carlton in probably the wrong time and that sort of impacted us in a certain way. But George coming in, when he came in, it was an ad. He applied for the job. He blew us away and we're like, you know, we're together today still. Had George have not come into the equation, would we have opened Carlton? Would we be sitting here as restaurateurs? Maybe not. The horror stories I hear about the restaurant industry and chefs. I mean, I've never had a chef throw a knife or a pan at me, but there is some scary stuff.
I've heard some stories.
Right?
Too. Yeah.
George is not like that.
Yeah. Let's speak of Carlton because I think that's probably where Mel and I bonded over business and the pressures of business. You say you opened at probably the wrong time, but do you think it's in a certain way the greatest blessing because you've learnt the most from it?
Yes. And I wouldn't have said that 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. When you're in
I actually remember you guys coming and I was listening to your podcast on friendship a few weeks ago and you mentioned you're like, you can't be around negative people. I'm like, fuck, the day that you sat with me, I was probably at my lowest.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, maybe I was like,
that's not negative.
She couldn't be around, like maybe she hasn't come back because I was just fucking terrible that day. But like it was horrendous. But we have learnt so much from almost failing. Essentially.
Yep.
And
It's funny you say that because I was reflecting on Carlton, you know, recently. And if it wasn't, and people say it all the time, you know, your failings are, you know, that's where you, when you're in like an uncomfortable space, that's where you grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
People say that you don't really understand that. It was so uncomfortable. It hurt a lot, you know, but never did I want to like stop.
Yeah.
I always, like, I'm going to fucking work it out. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And like, I'm talking double everything in size, output, input, like everything was just, it was intense, but I did learn a lot because I was so uncomfortable, but I also sit well in uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I don't know a little bit more.
For me, the world was ending.
Yeah. How did you fix it?
There was 4 or 5 different angles I could have taken, you know, and I guess the main thing was having the right people around me. So I've got good support from a business perspective, like business coach. I've got a life coach, you know, I've got family, and then I've got my own kind of vision and ideas, and I'm unwavering in like my outcomes. If I want it to happen, I will fucking make it happen, you know, and no one will stop me, you know. So that was it. I wasn't going to go under, and I could have closed the doors on Carlton and Ms Frankie and said, yes, you know, we have built this brand, but if I have to close the doors today because that's what it is, well, then that's what it would have been. And that was very real. We could have very simply been shut out, but we found a way out.
Were there any particular steps that helped you get out of that, looking back now? Like what processes?
Well, we
people
kind
in
of
the
have
door?
to say a thank you to you guys because
huge. Thank you.
You did a podcast with Harrison.
Oh,
and
yes.
I'm sure you still work with him.
Yep.
And I'm like, and that was when we were
at our lowest.
At our limit,
for that brand.
Yeah.
And I heard him say, you know, I want to help the little guys win, you know. I'm like, I'm a little guy.
Yep.
And I want to win.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Wani, like the girls do this podcast, and Wani like is not on Instagram, does not listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
She's just in her own bubble.
In her creative mind. Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy, he sounds amazing. I should get in touch with him. So I got in touch. I'm thinking he won't get back to me. And he did. And we sat in Carlton and I was a mess. I was like crying. Wani's doing all the talking. He's like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. I'm like, well, not really, because I've got so much debt and there's just, it's not enough money coming in the door. And he's like, we'll work it out.
From a business perspective, what we did, which we didn't understand we were doing wrong at the time, was we kind of strangled a market. So we went in with this identity of like immigrant daughters, you know, that are like first, second generation. And that was kind of like, not deliberately, but that was like our audience, because that's who we were. So we were speaking directly to this particular audience.
Yeah. We wanted people like me and Wani, vlogs.
Well, that's
we wanted non-ness food.
Yeah.
And
Pizza.
We actually nailed it. All the Italians came. Italian eats in an Italian restaurant.
There was no blonde hair, blue-eyed people in Ms Frankie.
It was all the
but
ones.
all the Rosalia effect, they came in. So we did have that in mind and we did nail that concept, but there's 95% of Melbourne that
So how did you slowly change that?
Well, Harrison said to me, like, good job, but, like, you've strangled it and actually probably done yourself a disjustice, you know, because you need to get a bigger piece of the pie. And it's funny you say that because that was exactly his language. You know, it's a small piece, and that's where the pizza thing came in. And it's like, so then how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we broaden our brand awareness? And it all became about marketing.
So that you bought in pizza. Is that what? No.
Oh, yeah, well, we actually did.
The only reason I say that is because here's a story from me. Sorry, I just knocked the microphone. One birthday, I had my family birthday at Carlton. It must have been before COVID. Well, when did you guys open?
It was 2022 we opened.
Okay, it must
be.
But
we didn't have a pizza oven when we first opened.
No, this is my thing. The twins were alive and my sister's boyfriend is very Aussie. Very Aussie. And I remember going there and I was like, let's just order some pastas and we'll all share. And he was so pissed off because there was no pizza. And I was like, no, but the pastas are really good. Like, and then he had fucking gout in his foot. So he's like, I can only have like part of the fucking bread. It was so difficult. And I was like, I'm never going out for dinner with him again.
So how did it change though? Did you invest more in marketing? Like what were the turning points for that?
So Wani's like, so we've got a marketing budget and she kind of beats around the bush.
Have to a bit.
When
have to schmooze it.
A spend. And
so if it's 20,000, you're like, oh, it's 5,000.
Mind you, at this point, I'm like, no money.
Yeah.
The American Express is actually getting us through business because suppliers aren't delivering because we're not up to date with payments. So I'm putting everything on the Amex. And I'm like, Wani, are you fucking serious? Like, you're going to spend $10,000 a month on marketing? And she's like, I'm telling you, it will pay off. It will pay off. And so, like you said before, you've got to spend or invest money to make money, and it has changed our business.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know. We didn't study business, right? And like, how do we know about P&Ls? How do we know about marketing? Well, we don't. We learn on the job. That's kind of what you do as an entrepreneur, right? And thankfully Harrison was inserted into the equation and he has a lot of knowledge in that space and he really pushed me. You don't need to push me too hard. If you give me a growth understanding, I'm going to chase that hard. So together we kind of like rolled out this plan of action and the plan was to just broaden the brand awareness, you know, tell everybody who Ms Frankie is, you know, not just a certain audience. Let's get a bigger piece of the pie. And it's been a game changer.
What's been the most successful part of that marketing campaign? Like, was you spending more money on ads or what was that?
I think our brand translates really well and that was by default. You know, like by creating the brand, we didn't realize, we didn't set it up to market it, right? So usually it's kind of the other way around. You're kind of like, what are we creating? How are we going to market it? What does it need to look like? Ours was the opposite or the reverse of that. And what we knew was the ads were landing really well and we were converting them, you know, so we were getting bookings from our visuals, from our assets, and that was all assets that we'd had, you know.
But events has been a big...
Oh, so you do events. So that was another part.
A big change. Like, so...
100%.
So like you hire out the whole venue or...
Yeah, so in Cremorne... in both venues. We do weddings, engagements, christenings, baptisms, whatever it is.
celebration.
But we put a big push on getting event inquiries in.
Mm-hmm.
So like in 2022, for example, maybe we did for the whole year 15 to 20 exclusive events. Now, those exclusive events, we do probably 2 or 3 a month.
Wow.
So, and that's, you know, that's a massive change for our
looking
business.
at these opportunities in a business of where you can grow and scale. And Harrison does this analogy, and you guys will probably know it. It's like when you're in it, you don't know. So you need to have that 300,000, like 30,000 view.
He loves that song.
30,000
foot view.
Yeah, and you have
from the top and like be like, okay, take yourself out of the situation. Where can this business grow and thrive?
Correct.
For it to work.
And now we're at the where can we continue to grow? And it's like, all right, let's push for christenings on Sundays. Let's push for corporates and financial year, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. Like they're all, you know, parts of the business that we can grow.
That space where you're in that really negative kind of shit, we're losing, we're drowning, we're going to die, there's no way out scenario. And then how do you put the hat on of like
opportunities,
30, you know, getting to that higher view and have a look down? It's a tough space to be in, and I think it's just about surrounding yourself with the right people, connecting to, you know, people who have an idea, who are like experts, and then leveraging off that.
For people that have a business and might feel like they're in the trenches, you've got through the other side. What would your advice be for them?
It would be, if you're in that dark place, which I was, no one could have said anything to make me feel better. Like, I seriously did not see the light in that moment. Yeah, I'm just blessed to have had Wani by my side. Even our executive chef, Giorgio, he's been with us the whole way, and he's like, whatever you need, you know, he's always, I call him brother now. So, yeah, to have people who support you, I would talk about it and make sure you talk about it with someone, because that's so important. But yeah, I think about it, and I think you could have given me $1 million and it still wouldn't have been enough back then, and it wouldn't have made me happy. Like, I was just so low. But Wani is the opposite, and
belief.
Positive.
Belief is important. You've got to believe in what you do, and there's nothing wrong with failing. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, everybody in the finance world, or anyone that sort of talks about money, would hate me saying this, and you do. Like, for me, it's circumstantial. For me, the money side of things, it's just, it happens. You've got to enjoy what you do. You've got to believe in what you do, and then it comes, you know. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that's a crock of shit.
Yeah, right? And well, that's because
I would say that's how our business partner Alicia thinks as well. It's just like, you know what? If you got to enjoy it, you do it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But when you're looking at the bank accounts and there's no fucking money and it's payday, it's not air and fair.
If I didn't believe in it.
Yeah, I understand.
Right?
Belief is important.
Okay, and that you can't buy that. You can't buy that. You can't give me, if you gave me $100 million today, I could dream some stuff up. In fact, I dream stuff up without it, you know, but with or without the money, I'm going to dream that up, you know. Belief is, and if you don't, you know, if these guys are struggling out there, you know, for whatever reason, ask yourself the question, you know, sit with yourself and go, am I into this? Do I want to do this? Because if you do, you will.
You'll find a way.
And if you don't, get the fuck out. Do something else. And that's okay. Like, you know, I'm sure I'll have another something in my life, you know, in this lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, so
it sounds like, from what you've said, and we say this all the time, you just got to be surrounded around good people and
for sure
a rock.
Yes.
Because you want to be able to be vulnerable and speak to
our biggest thing at the moment is have fun with work, have fun with business, because we spend 80% of our day doing it. So if we're not enjoying it, what are we doing?
Like we were talking the other day, it's like, when were we having the most fun? When we didn't put too much pressure on the bank account and stuff. I know it's stressful
and important.
Important, absolutely. But like, that's not fun.
No.
So it's going back, and when you're having more fun, you bring it out to the universe, you know what good things come to you.
Correct.
But sometimes I get it. It's hard
but if you're in that moment, I'm definitely not there anymore, thank God. There's so much light ahead. And so much, we have so many opportunities ahead of us. We're looking at, you know, a few other things now.
What about hiring people? Now, people that are at the restaurant. I love that. Obviously, you know, having staff is a massive it is so important within hospitality because if you have great service, you're going back.
Yep.
How does that look for you guys? What do you look for when hiring staff?
That's a you question.
Yeah, so I am the people person in the business, and that's kind of one of my great passions. It's people.
Yeah.
We have a HR chick who sits in HR. Shout out to Ale, she's amazing. She sits in that function, so if I say I need something, she will go to market for it, and then it's turned into she'll shortlist based off some questions, and then they get to sit with me for 5 minutes and potentially get through to the stage of trial. But before that is understanding your values as a brand. And when I first started working with Harrison, he asked me what the company values were, or what were the brand values, and I couldn't answer the question simply because I didn't write them in the first place. They were written by somebody else as just a formality, and they were on all of our position descriptions, but I didn't actually know them. Therefore, I didn't believe in them. Therefore, I didn't live them. Therefore, I didn't, embody them. And how am I going to hire to them? So that was a pivotal moment, setting out, what are the values?
What are the values?
You've got to give a shit.
Yeah.
That's one of them. You have to have a high personal standard. You have to own it.
Is there one question that you ask in every interview, and it depending on their response, it's like a red flag, green flag?
Just recently I've started to ask this question because Mel bought me a book, which I haven't really got through all of it. But the big thing is, or the question is, what's the difference between hospitality and service?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and you get a whole bunch of different answers, but obviously hospitality is for us, and what it means to us is, being hospitable, but creating an energy for people to come into and feel welcome, and without them really understanding that we put a big onus on that, we do. And asking someone what they think or what the difference is probably the question I would ask in an interview and see what they come back with. If they can differentiate the difference, then so that's probably the main question.
And then once you've got the staff and you've got a great team, how do you maintain that good energy and the bond between everyone? Like, is that hard?
Culture.
Because you want to nurture everyone so they stay.
They all love each other. We've got a pretty good team. Like front of house, they've always it almost becomes a friendship group.
Yeah.
The kitchen crew, I must say, George and Wani are like superstars at supporting and leading their teams. Like it's almost like they're a part of the team. They're not the boss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's important. Whereas me, they walk in and everyone shits themselves a little bit because they don't quite understand me as a person. Because I'm not there all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what their perception is of me really, but I'm very serious. I'm very professional because I worked in an office environment most of my life. I'm like, Wani, you can't say that. Chef, you can't say that. And they're like, it's hospo. I'm like, but, I'm very professional. So I'll talk to Wani like I don't know her at work.
Culture is huge. It's like people, culture, massive thing. And how do you create a good culture? Obviously hiring to those values, so making sure that you align, these people align that come in. And if they don't, X them out, which happens very quickly. They get weeded out if they do make their way in under false pretenses, which is rare. We do hire well and have good retention because I think we do have a good culture. And I think the best thing the best way to lead a good culture is just lead from the front, like live it, embody
Actions.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. A question I thought of before when we were sitting down, and I didn't want to ask it there. I wanted to ask it here. What's the average lifespan of a business in hospitality?
It's a good question.
You mean like how long would I have one of the restaurants for?
Yeah, as in
when's
do most cafes, if they're not working, close down within 5 years? Is it 10 years to have so for fashion, they say like if you make it to 10 years, you're good. You've done really well.
The first 2 years of business are probably, the make or break for hospo, I think, because people come in and they really sort of test you at the beginning and they may or may not come back. And we've had that experience. In Carlton, we went to like 300 capacity from 150. So we doubled. and we thought we were playing the same sport when in actual fact we weren't. And people tested us and we weren't prepared well enough and we didn't hit the mark at the beginning, literally. So people didn't come back. And you know, that was the catalyst probably for, you know, part of the spiral, as well as the economy and interest rates and all the other things that came at us beautifully. But yeah, the first couple of years, Sarah, is like probably
make or break.
Yeah. And then if you get through and you become this kind of legacy brand, you know, anything past, you know, 3, 4, 5, like the cafe we've had for 13 years.
Yeah.
That's a reputation now that we've got, you know.
Yeah. But
But it goes like this.
It is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
'Cause you will see there's been, like, the cafe went crazy when we first opened. Then
there's seasons.
we had competition open up, it drops down, you deal with it, and then it's come back up.
They always come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's new people in now, you know, so
Yeah.
it's like then it balances out again. So you've got to kind of ride this wave of up and down in business,
I don't know if this is a common thing in hospitality. Like, you obviously have a group now. Is one of the aims to build it up and then sell it off? Getting to the next stage.
Not the entire group. No.
Depends on who you're asking.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mel would sell everything for the right price,
give
you
it,
know.
Sometimes I just
No, I
give
get
it
that
away
because
for free.
Tal and I have discussions about that as well. It's like, okay, what point do we build it up to, and then do we sell it off? Harrison's like, but you'll get to that point, then you won't want to sell it off.
Like the
Yes,
conversation
Harrison's like, but if you're making this, because we do forecasting, he's like, why? Because I'm like, I just want to sell. Get me out of here. He's like, why? If you're making money, why would you want to sell? And I'm like, maybe once I actually start seeing a profit, which hopefully this year we will, it will become easier and you might want to stay. But yeah, if I'm always open to the right offer.
I only asked that because there was some restaurant someone was talking about recently to me, and they said, yeah, it was so popular. And in my head, I'm like, wouldn't you want to sell it off when you got that peak popularity and then just be like, there you go, done, and then rinse, repeat kind of thing?
Yeah.
Everyone's got different intentions when it comes to business, right? And I don't think you set out with the intention at the beginning. Like, how do you know that? Unless you do deliberately go, hey, I'm going to build this to sell this.
Yeah.
There are people that do that and
Yeah.
only that.
In Melbourne, like that we know of, you know, they'll do that. Buy a cafe, build it up, sell it on. And
The
that's
books look
it.
really
You know.
good, so you're getting more money.
On.
Yeah.
I've always had in my mind, like Mel, that if the right person comes across and offers us the right amount of money, we probably will take it, you know, potentially, you know. And in saying that, always as well, I've sort of said, I don't want to make myself the only person in this business. It's like, it's crucial for me to be here. So obviously someone could come in and just buy it, you know. And I've always, doesn't matter whether it's a small little cafe or the couple of restaurants or so on and so forth, I've set it up so I don't have to be there. I've put things in place so someone could come in and run the successful business if they wanted to, if we wanted that. Yeah.
How do you manage your time between the 3 restaurants? Like, do you have to go to one a certain night of the week, another one this side, or is there one that you spend most of the time at? Because we talk about this with gyms all the time. It's like, if the owners aren't there, we find it gets neglected and you don't want to be there because it's that culture, the community. So how do you balance your...
I hate that saying.
It's true.
I've texted Mel. I'm like, oh, are you in Carlton this weekend? She's like, no. I'm like, okay.
No, but I just like, how do you manage your time? Because I find that's an example I use, because I know that feeling when I go to a gym and the owner's there, you feel like, I don't know what it is. It's just like.
I love that you're saying that.
Yeah.
Because this is something we don't see eye to eye on.
Really? So
like,
how do you
I
manage
think I want Wani to be there at all times.
Okay.
And I'm not front of house. Like, I can't even 3-plate carry in my own restaurants. Like, actually no good at waiting tables. It's a real skill.
You need
so
a
I'm like,
trolley.
Wani, it's different when you're there. And Giorgio will say the same. Our chef will say everything's a little bit different when you're here. Same when he's in the kitchen. Like, when the big bosses are there, of course it's going to run differently.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I agree that when we're there, it's running at its optimal form. I mean, that makes sense, right? I said this yesterday to this tech guy that was fixing cables in the restaurant. I'm like, call me if you need an answer, because I know the color of the wall underneath the walls. I built the fucking thing, you know. Of course it's going to run better if I'm in there. I understand it better than anybody. in saying that, I've got 4 of them. So how could I physically be in 4?
But that's what
And I am also OCD to the point where I want it to be fucking great all the time. So you have to set structure and process, and you have to believe in people. You have to trust people, and you have to give them your trust. And you have to say, okay, you are running this service for me, you are running this business for me. And that's what I do. I have good people in good places, and I manage them.
It's letting go of control.
It's hard.
People struggle with.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. Yeah.
And the older you get, the harder that'll get. So for me, I've never been like that. I've always been like, I'm cool to give someone else that trust, because I've seen the outcomes. And it was a shift. I was a micromanager when I first started, because I could touch everything. It was a small little cafe. I'm like, you do this, you do that. And this is a supreme operation. And then I went to this other one where it's like, okay, now I've got 2. How do I do this? So I had to relinquish. Yeah. And when I did, I saw flourish. Like I saw this manager go from like inward to like, wow, she trusts me.
Yeah, giving responsibility. Yeah.
And the second that they, for whatever reason, break my trust, they're out. And that's how it works.
Looking back 13 years ago, do you think you could see yourselves where you are now?
I did not have a vision of restaurants 13 years ago. Definitely not. No, I was my dream was to develop properties, and she keeps opening up businesses, so like can't do that. But no, I wouldn't have thought restaurants. Cafe, yes. But I was just happy with that one. I thought I'd made it. Just with the one cafe, had my job, happy days. Yeah. And sometimes, you
want to go back there.
I want to go back there.
Yeah.
Because it was a bit easier.
Of course. It's that we say that all the time. Yeah. It was like, God, it'd be nice to work a 9 to 5, wouldn't it? And for someone else.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of glad we are where we are now. Yeah. And yes, even with all the shit we've been through, it's been a blessing because we've learned from it.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask like a fun question. What's your number 1 selling dish at Ms Frankie's?
The gnocchi ragu is probably.
Oh my God, that's my favorite. That's the one that I like, isn't it? Yes.
It's been on the menu from day one.
It is really good.
We don't take it off the seasonal menu. It stays on all the time. And it's Mel's mum's Sunday sauce also recipe. So. And gnocchi, I mean, who could be bothered making gnocchi at home? Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm going to come out and have that dish. Yeah. It sells well.
Final question for both of you. I want an answer each. What do you wish someone had told you before you started business?
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Mine would be, it's going to be okay.
Actually, that, and no one's coming to save you.
Yep. Yeah.
No one is going to get you out of that hole. You've just got to keep going.
I would say it's okay to dream big. It's okay to want to like aim for the fucking stars, because it can literally happen. You can literally reach them, but you have to have that mentality. And at the beginning, you get a lot of like naysayers. No, can't, won't, rejected, permit, money, yada, yada, yada. But you've just got to push through all of that. And then maybe that chips away a little bit. You make, maybe it is all. So having that constant, yes, you can do it. You can do it would be, I think, the biggest thing I probably would have wanted to have heard, but kind of do on a daily basis here.
Anyway. Even after everything we've been through. See, I'm a bit more cautious now, but she's just like, sign the lease.
I have this
Let's go again.
This inner light that I just, because I thought about it, I reflected before I came into this. I'm like, what they asked me, like, what's like, what is my purpose? What is this all about? For me, I can't answer that. I can't give you exactly this is where I'm going to be in 10 years time. I'll sit on the couch with you in 10 years time. I know it's going to be global. I know it's going to be huge, but I just keep following my intuition. And if it says,
how are you so comfortable with risk? Like Mel says, you've just signed another lease.
Not yet. I'm thinking about
it. Almost.
That's something that, in the last 2 months we've had to be comfortable with. And it's like, if you actually want to do something in business, or in life, everything takes a risk.
How am I so comfortable in it?
Have you always been that way? Like,
yeah, I think as a kid, I had to always fight for things to be to work things out, So I've always had it in me, but I'm not scared of anything really, like except for my family and my health. That's important to me, and I would never play around in that space. In fact, I honor those spaces, and I would never risk anything in those spaces. Love, family, relationships. But for me in business, it's like
it's really just money at the end of the day. And I know, like, and it's so important to me, and it's a pride thing for me. If those doors had have been closed in Carlton, like you spoke about, Ms Frankie, and the identity, it does become a part of you, and it would be embarrassing for me to have that happen. But
because you're like water off a duck's back.
Yeah, one is the complete opposite. But for me, we don't have kids, so we don't think. Maybe now that you have roller, you probably wouldn't take as many risks. I don't know. They say kids change you. For us, the only thing we can lose is our house, and we almost lost that.
My life coach tells me to have babies because he thinks that when I have babies, I'm going to become this superhuman version of myself. So, Mella, I mean, we don't know yet. We need to prove this. Who knows?
It changes life, but it changes life better. You've got more drive.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Wow. Add more drive.
Because
you want to be able to
because that's your why.
Yeah.
So, like, I literally did a post on TikTok this morning. I'm like, it was just a video of Roller and I. I'm like, I almost forgot you're my why. Yeah. It makes you want to go harder. Same with Damien. He's like working harder. So it's just like, yeah, that's your why. I've got one question though not a question. I want you to tell the audience, watching or listening, why should they go to Ms Frankie over another Italian restaurant?
You should try us because it's a cool space with great food. You know, you're going to come and you'll feel an energy that, you know, you should definitely just feel. I mean, why not would be my answer. You should definitely come and just try it because everything is deliberate in that space. We think about everything. You know?
Do you know what I think as well? I'm not Italian, but I'm surrounded by a lot of Italians. And I can
be one of us.
Appreciate the food and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not privy to many Italian restaurants and stuff, but your food is 100%. I feel like it feels like warm, comforting, like you would have at home.
Yeah.
And that's from like a full
from
Aussie. Yeah.
And
that's what I love about eating your food.
I've never had a bad night there with my girlfriends or with friends or family.
Or a meal.
Nice.
Yeah. Always consistent and always delicious.
Yeah. I mean, and Chef, he's now 60. So he gave me his 5 years notice the other day. He's like, I don't care what happens.
Recipes, everything.
Like 5 years. And I'm like, fuck, I hope Melbourne realise how good this guy is and that they just come and like enjoy his food while he's still doing it. Because I feel like that it's just a dying trade to have a master at his trade the way he does it. Like I don't think he is appreciated enough in the industry. He just cares. He just really cares.
And I can feel that when I'm eating your food.
Oh,
yeah.
So thank you for creating that. And you all should go and check Ms Frankie out.
Yeah.
Please do.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for sitting down with us and your honesty.
Yes,
No
thank
worries.
you.
Thank you,
ladies.